Hi, this is Eric from the African Homestead. Welcome back to my American farmstead. A few weeks ago, I had the great opportunity to go down to Arkansas to attend a regenerative grazing workshop led by Greg Judy. He and his wife Jan are the owners and operators of Green Pastures Farm, located in Clark, Missouri. They have over 1,600 acres that they operate on multiple locations, and primary work they do, their primary business is raising cattle, sheep, but they also have livestock guardian dogs. The cattle breed that they raise are called South Polled, and I'll leave some information in the description below if you want to learn more about South Polled breed. They also raise St. Croix sheep, and then the livestock guardian dogs are a mix of a few different really proven guardian dogs that work well, and they've worked for years to kind of perfect the mix of these dogs, and they also have those for sale. And in addition to that, I think they have chickens and pigs and even raise some mushrooms, and so they've got a lot going on. He is also an author of 2 different books. I'll leave links below to those books. And let's see what else. He's got a lot going on. He does a ton of training, and so he has internships available on his farm, and also does workshops and presentations and seminars, not only at his location but all around the U.S. And so he has a lot going on. He's got a lot to say. So I'm gonna stop talking now, and we'll move over to the interview. Now, this is in addition to the interview, which isn't too terribly long. I had the opportunity to record some pasture walks. So this interview takes place in the evening following our first day. And so in the morning, we spent time in kind of a lecture setting, and so this interview takes place at the end of the first day. In the morning, we were in a lecture type setup where Greg presented a lot of different materials, and then in the afternoon, after lunch, we went on a pasture walk. And so immediately after this interview, you're gonna see the first day's pasture walk. But because of the length of it, I decided to split this into 2 videos. And so today, in this video, you'll watch the first day's pasture walk, and in the second video, it's going to be the second day's pasture walk that actually takes place in the morning, and then we have the workshop lecture in the afternoon. And so just to give you an idea what to expect, but without any further delay, here's my interview with Greg. Again, apologize a little bit for the quality of the video and the audio. Everything was shot on my iPhone, and so it's a little bit limited, but I hope you'll be able to just last through it. It is a gold mine of wisdom and experience. So I hope you join me for the entire thing. Well, this is Greg Judy. For those of you who don't know him, he's out of Missouri. Is it Clark, Missouri?
Yep, Central Missouri.
He is here with me leading a workshop on regenerative grazing in Perryville, Arkansas. We're at the Heifer Ranch, which is ran by Heifer USA, which is a part of Heifer International. If you don't know about that organization, I'll put a link to their website in the notes. They do fantastic work around the world, really doing a good, sustainable approach to relieving hunger and poverty. And so today my mind was blown. As I was telling you earlier, I'm fairly new to regenerative agriculture, to permaculture and those kinds of things, like less than 2 years.
Right.
Since
Right.
I knew nothing about it to what I know today. I haven't had any formal training. Everything I know and practice is just from YouTube videos, from reading books and articles and those types of things. And so this is the first kind of formal workshop, formal training that I've been to. I'm not a note taker. My wife is a great note taker. I have pages and pages of notes from today. And there were some points where you had screenshot, you had your slides up on the screen, and I was just taking photos. So much good information, and I want to thank you for that. It's just been fantastic. But for those of the people that watch my channel who don't know you,
Right.
I was first introduced to you through watching Justin Rhodes' video.
Right.
And really intrigued by that. Through my father-in-law, have some background in in cattle and in farming, very conventional. And so that was my exposure to agriculture before going to Africa, and now really looking at all the ways that I can incorporate regenerative agriculture into the work we're doing there and setting up this permaculture model farm and training center. And so I just want to say thank you for everything that you're sharing here today and tomorrow. But if I could start off with the question, if you could just tell me what's your story, what's your background, where do you come from?
Well, I was born on a farm. My whole life I've been on a farm, but I never realized the importance of management. When we talk about ranching and grazing, we were taught that it's just grass, grows from the sunlight, and you harvest it with a cow. And really, forages and building soil wealth, it all comes down to management. Using a ruminant animal to massage the soil with the hooves, trampling carbon, anything organic onto the ground while you're keeping the animal well fed. And so you're getting the animal fat, the animal's breeding back, giving you another one, but it's also building soil wealth. And that's regenerative. Everybody says, well, I want to be sustainable. You do? Well, I'm sorry, but if you inherited a degraded land resource from your father-in-law or mother-in-law, whatever, and it's degraded and you're going to sustain that, what's great about that? You're sustaining a degraded resource. You want to be regenerative. You want to build. And the only way to build is with animals. You've got to get the microbes through the rumen of the gut. The animals are the only thing that can take green leaves and put on a saleable, healthy protein. So they're grabbing the sunlight, the plant is. The plant's converting that into a really, really good product, grass-fed beef. We don't need all these feedlots. I'll go as far as saying this. Beef animals are not grainivores. They're herbivores. They're meant, that tongue, it's out there to grab leaves and rip it off and put it into its mouth. It's got all these multiple stomachs on it to digest it and break it down. You and I can eat grass till we fall over, and we'll die trying to stay alive on it. A cow can eat it and do quite well. So it's all about managing your forage, and that's my aha moment was, you know what? It is a crop. We need to manage it like a crop. Take care of it. And you can make a really good living today on land by learning how to manage your grazing.
So when you talk about regenerative, there are different definitions out there. It's not as bad as the word organic, where organic has just become almost worthless, especially when it comes to government stamp of approval on organic. Regenerative is at risk of becoming as meaningless, but how would you define it?
Regenerative is, to me, it should be getting better all the time. Your soil should be getting better. Your land, the plants, you need to see all this diversity. You don't want single monocultures on your farm. You don't want one species of animals on your farm. You need to have several different species, and it's all working in symbiosis with each other. The holistic approach, just holism. Think of it as a big spider web, okay? And so the more species that I can attract onto my farm, whether it's wildlife or ants or worms or whatever, or bobcat, I don't care. One species supports 8 additional ones, okay? And that's what I'm all about. I want to manage my farm in sync with nature. I don't want to be a fossil fuel guzzling machine. I want to be able to run it with sunlight. And that is our unfair advantage. We have a ruminant animal that can take sunlight and convert it into meat. Our cows don't have a beak. Grain, feed it to the chickens, feed it to the pigs. We don't need it. Our cows don't need it. And I'll say this, we could really halt global warming in its tracks right now. At 5 to 10% of all the livestock owners in the world would convert to this type of grazing. Take the carbon out of the air and put it back into the soil where it belongs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about.
Now, I know you're busy. You probably want to go spend some time with your wife, so I just want to thank you very much just for shooting the short video with me. I have a bunch of footage that I took from the field walk today, and I'll probably take some more tomorrow that'll work in here. It's gold. And what I love about the way you teach, I can share. I can see that you're sharing with your heart.
Yeah.
When you talked about what the pastor needed today, and the tough decisions that need to be made,
Yeah.
I could tell you were emotionally involved.
Yeah.
I mean, you really care about having the livestock managed well, the land managed well, good decisions to be made, even when hard decisions have to be made.
Yes.
And that was one thing I really appreciate about it. And then also that this isn't pie in the sky theory. You've learned through experience,
I
through
have.
probably lots of mistakes,
Yes.
and lots of success.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I appreciate is it's you're not a professor without
No.
experience teaching from a book.
No.
You're someone who's been in the trenches and done it day in and day out.
Yeah.
Continue to learn every day. And I think you would probably agree that
I did everything wrong. I did, starting out. I almost went broke, and I turned it around though. And today, we've got 16 farms, and we're out of debt, and things are going well on the farm. But they wouldn't be that way if I hadn't went through the trenches.
Mhm.
If everything had come easy for me, I never would have had to change.
Yeah.
But folks, there's a really good living out here on the land, but you got to learn how to manage it. You got to learn how to manage the animals, the right kind of animals, and then you got to learn the marketing part of it.
Yeah.
And it's a great life. It really is.
Yeah. One thing is I've been exposed to this is that I had a belief that with my father-in-law's generation,
Mm-hmm.
that farming is a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've come to realize is that conventional farming,
Yes, absolutely.
based reliance on chemicals and diesel fuel and huge inputs and expensive inputs, zero profits if not losses. That's the dead end. But what I'm seeing and what I'm learning is that there's this approach that offers good profit margins,
Absolutely.
offers stability, offers
Absolutely.
not only is it benefiting you, it's benefiting the environment. We're sequestering carbon. We're doing things that improve soil biology. All of that.
Which improves nutrient density in our food.
Mm-hmm.
Today, America has the worst health in the whole developed world. We have a great healthcare system. Well, we got all these sick people. Why? It's our food.
Yeah.
When you grow food out of soil that is sterile, been nuked with Roundup and Roundup and Roundup and all these nasty chemicals, and then we eat that? We expect our consumers to eat that? I just heard the guy, he's a crop farmer, they spray their wheat to kill it with Roundup to dry it off. And then we make bread with that. They don't even wash the wheat off. They just blow the chaff out of it. We're eating bread that's been sprayed with Roundup. A lot of people sick. It's ridiculous. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
We're raising healthy food, healthy animals, healthy soil, and healthy consumers.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
And I can tell you that I go over, we're in Liberia for 1 to 2 years at a time. My health improves dramatically. The food we eat, processing is by using a knife. That's the only processing we do. No additives. It's organic, it's healthy, it's from God to man is what they say in Liberia.
Yeah.
I come back here, I immediately start putting on weight. Of course, a lot of it's comfort food,
Right.
but a lot of it's just the junk I'm putting in my body that tastes so good,
Yeah.
that's addictive.
Yeah.
But my joints hurt, my headaches. I mean, I feel my health take an immediate hit within days of coming back to the States.
Yeah.
And so I know that I feel years younger when I'm in Liberia, and a lot of it is the physical activity and the quality of the food.
Yeah.
Well, probably all of
The
it.
closer you can eat to where it was grown,
Yeah.
less processing, the better it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
You
Greg.
bet.
I look forward to what you have to teach tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Looking at them across the top of their backs, there's some of those that haven't slicked off 100%, but by God, a lot of them have. There's some in there that are better than others. I can point out one that I don't like. Then at the very back,
The black one?
Yeah, well, the darker colored one there. She's still got her winter hair coat on at the very back. Not the one sucking. It's eating the grass that's here. It's in this environment. It's not adapted. It hasn't adapted. Now it might, but it may take it a year. It may take it 2 years. But it's not adapted yet, or it wouldn't look like that. That calf, and you breed it back to a sire here. That calf is going to be even more adapted than the one that's sucking. So each generation just gets more adapted. That's why it's pretty important, to get animals fairly close to you if you can. Now, everything that I say today, where's the ranch manager again? Okay, I'm sorry, I keep losing you. Anyway, on the death triangle, it's on the left side. And there's a hip bone that sticks out. Matter of fact, if we can get close to those cows, folks, we can probably find some that are limited. Let's see, we're looking at the right side of them as they're grazing that way. You can't look at the right side. It's got to be on the left side. So when you move your cows in the morning and you open the gate up to let them into the new paddock, don't stand on the left side. Don't stand on the right side of the paddock or the gate. Get over on the side where you can observe them as they come through in front of you. And 20-30% of them are all sunken in. You should have gave them a bigger area, or in your case, Sam's even talking about trying to stretch this out, maybe feeding some hay to buy more time. I'm going to share this with all of you. I didn't even tell you all this last night, but I woke up last night and it was bothering me, what y'all are facing here. And it's tough. But what you're trying to do, folks, is preserve your cow herd. And I know you want grass-finished beeves, but that grass-finished herd is killing you. That's because they don't have babies in them. You heard me say they're the most expendable item you have. And I know you got meat, and you got customers and all that. I would really be looking for a place to put those. Maybe find somebody you could custom graze around here, even if you had to haul them 50, 75, 100 miles, whatever, get them off this farm. You've got some pretty nice cows out here. You're going to run out of grass, and you're going to be feeding hay for 7 to 8 months. That's what's going to happen. Because that grass that got flooded down there, you all didn't see it yet, but I did. It's not going to come back for a while. It's going to take you possibly 3 to 4 months to get green out there. It's just fouled. It smells, all the oxygen's out of the ground. It's anaerobic. There's stuff dying out there. So it's going to take a while. But it'll come back. But I just don't want to see you all get in a position where everything's getting thin, your pastures are wore out, you're approaching winter now you got to feed hay all winter. Mm-hmm. That's not a pleasant place to be. Harvest all the energy, all the very best in the first 8 to 12 hours. Well then, if you leave them an additional day or 2 days or a week, whatever, they go back and they re-graze the plants that they grazed on the first day. Did you hear that? So they take a second bite. Mm-hmm. And they're like, darn it, I'm just telling you, when you move the animals and they're not allowed to take that second bite on the same plant, now you've left a larger solar collector intact to catch more energy from the sunlight, and therefore your recovery period is going to be shorter. You can come back sooner because you left this huge, powerful machine. Folks, you don't want to use the roots to grow your plant root, to grow your top back. There's carbohydrates stored in these roots. You want to keep that for a drought or a winter or a really maybe tough fall where you don't get any fall growth. Now you can use those carbohydrates, but don't get in the practice of using them to grow back the plant. That's all I'm saying. Folks, and so the lower you make the animals graze in here, the more likelihood you're going to have parasites in your animals. The longer they're walking in their manure, they're picking up parasites. So they're reinfesting themselves. Okay? That's why, she made the mention she'd never seen a group of cattle any shinier. That's why they're so darn shiny. every 12 hours, every 10 to 12 hours, they're getting a fresh paddock about this size. They've been on here, you said 2 weeks?
About a week.
Yeah, about a week. So they're not getting any energy. There's no energy being consumed in those cows. I don't see a lot of clover in here. I think it'll come. There's a little piece right there. I think it'll come with the right grazing management. There's some clover. No, it's not.
There's some.
Yeah. Folks, if you want clover, increase your stocking density. Put them in here fairly tight and move them more frequently. You'll get more clover coming into your pasture without seeding anything.
If you didn't know how many cows had been on this and for how long, and you just saw the land, what are the top few reasons that you would say this needs to be rested?
I don't see any energy.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking for the succulent tips. There are no succulent tips.
Like new tips? Okay.
Well, yeah, something that looks palatable to me. Everything's been rolled over pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know that one's been fouled. Did y'all know a cow eats with 5 mouths? How many of y'all have heard that one? All right, so you just picked up something new. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as a cow grazes across the paddock, and she stepped in that manure pad or a urine patch, and she walks on forage, fouls it. She's gonna eat that. She's not gonna eat it. So even though he just found a plant tip there, it's probably fouled. It's got manure smell on it. So that's a sense, that's a false sense that you've got a lot of grass out there. Oh my God, look at the grass. No, it's been fouled. That's why they're not eating it. It's got poop smell on it. So, yep.
So a herd this size, and you brought them in here, how big of a paddock would you give them?
A herd that size, if I had good water, first thing I would do, because that's my shade. Well, of course, it's not that hot today, but if it was summer, it's really hot.
Yeah.
I'd come off that tree line and split this paddock in two. And then I'd put a water point out in the middle of it, whether I had to plug into a snap coupler or whatever to get water out there. Then I would give them probably 25% of this in the morning, and I give them the other 25% of one side at night. And the next morning, I give them another 25%. And the next evening, I give them another 25%. So there's 4 paddocks in here for a herd that size.
But you wouldn't back fence them so they could get back to the
Absolutely not.
Right.
Folks, you don't need to back fence as long as you're moving them. Now, if you get lackadaisy and you don't move them for 3 to 4 days, absolutely, they will go back and regraze what they've been on. Remember this. The most vulnerable time of a plant in its whole life is when it's been grazed off, it's trying to regrow, and a darn cow's tongue comes out and rips it off again. You just cost yourself about 2 to 3 weeks of recovery. That's how long it's going to take for that plant to come back. So remember that. They're trying to put back the tip, and you let the cow rip it off again. But we're finding out when we move cows frequently enough, they don't go back. Now, they might go back over and get them a little bit of shade, or maybe my water point's over there, they'll go get and get them a drink, but they're going to go back on the new. And the reason they go back to the new is it hasn't been fouled. It's fresh. Smells good. Lots of diversity out there, lots of energy. Okay, I haven't talked about this. I think it's extremely important, especially for those of you who are trying to finish bees. If we look at a cow's gut, we can't climb inside the rumen tank and see what's down in there. But I can tell you this, there's a certain set of bugs, microbes in that gut, the rumen, that do real well on just plant tips. Just the tips. And they can digest those tips really quickly because it's very palatable, very high quality forage. And so the cow sits down to chew her cud, she digests that really quickly. She's back up eating again. What is she doing? She's putting weight on. She's making you money. Her calf is growing. Okay, now we force the cow to go back into the middle part of the plant. Okay, now he's going to graze the middle part of the plant down. That's a different set of microbes. That's a different set of bugs. Those guys are going to have a harder time digesting that. So, let's just say we're on a 2-day move. We're moving them every 2 days. Here's what happens. Day 1, well, let me get a good piece of grass. Day 1, they take the tip off. Okay? They digest that really well. We didn't move them. So the next day, the cows are exposed to that. Well, Greg, you didn't move us, we're going to take that. So they come and they take the middle part of the plant. And so their animal health all summer long is doing this. Skyrocket, falls down. Skyrocket, falls down. It's always up and down the whole summer. Where if you're moving them every day, it's like this, it just skyrockets every day. Because they're eating just plant tips. One set of microbes. The rumen doesn't have to readjust. Y'all following that?
Yeah.
Okay. If you go 3 days, it's even worse. Well, now the middle part of the plant's gone, and now they're going down into the high protein, more cellulosic. It's harder for those cows to digest that. And so you got high quality, medium quality, poor quality, and that's the way the bugs are in the gut. They're doing that all summer long.
You're saying there's higher protein in the lower
Yes,
levels of it?
the plant always has higher protein closer to the ground than it does in the tips.
What if you increase the paddock size?
Increase the paddock size, you take care of it. But you'll get around too quick if you're not careful.
What happens to their patty as that happens?
The patties get perfect. Oh, you mean as the protein increases?
Yeah, as
Get
they,
runny.
as they go back and start pulling up the stumps, and how does the patty?
Very runny.
Very
It's
round.
about that tall. It'll look like a sheet cake. And it stinks. It stinks. It's got excess ammonia in it.
Okay.
You won't find very many dung beetles in it either.
So when it piles up, that means you've got more tips.
When it piles up too much, that means you got too much cellulose and lignin in it. They can't digest it. It's that perfect cow pat. I haven't found one yet. Let's keep going.
So
Let's keep walking.
if you were to divide this up into the 4 paddocks, like you were saying, once you move them out of the first one into the second one, do you wouldn't necessarily need to close off the first one because
No.
it's fouled. They're
You
not
don't
going to
need
go
close
back.
off the first one because you're moving them. You're moving them. They're not going to go back on that paddock. It's been walked on, stepped on, laid on, pooped on, peed on. They're going to be on the fresh one. It's only when you stay on a paddock up to 4 days. On the 4th day, they're going to go back and regraze the regrowth because it's tender. You can stay on this whole paddock for 4 days if it's one long strip and the only water was back here. And you started at your water, you started stripping them 4 days out. On the 4th day, they're going to regraze that because it's got tender stuff growing up on. They're going to nail it. So on that 4th day, you need to be putting up a back fence or using a different water point. You take the plant like this guy, take the leaves off of it, you put it in a garlic press and you squeeze it and the juice comes out and it measures the sugar content of that plant.
They do it for grapes.
Yeah. It's called the refractometer. You can buy them. The one you want to get is called the Atego. A-T-E-G-O. Atego. It's about $69. They go all the way up to $1,000. You don't need the $1,000. Get the $69 model. It goes from 0 to 30. The higher the reading, the more sugar there is in your plant. The more sugar there is on your plant, the fatter your bees will get. The more pounds per day you will get. If you have a Brix of 7, that's about 1 pound a day. If you go to 14, that's 2 pounds a day. If you go to 21, that's 3 pounds a day.
And it changes in the time of day?
Yes. Yes.
So
So you can take the same plant,
Right, on the sunlight too.
take the same plant, measure at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be 7. You go out there right now, it's 4 o'clock. It's pretty hot out here. The sun's hitting it.
Stressful.
When the sun hits it, that's when it's the best. So if you're mowing hay, when is the best time to mow hay?
Afternoon.
1 to 4. You know, I did that in high school for 2 years. I was actually junior high. And we used a hay bind that crimped it. It's the worst thing in the world. I didn't realize that. Later said, if you're going to mow hay, use the sickle bar that chops it off, because when you crimp it, you lose all your sugars.
Is sugar
All your sugars are gone.
is sugar a solely the sole indicator of palatability?
It's one of the highest.
What are the other ones?
How early,
Is that parliament?
how immature the plant is. It's got a seed head on it, and it's a mature seed head. Boy, I mean, it plummets. It goes down big time. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, move them in the middle of the day?
Yep, 1 o'clock. If you're gonna just move them once a day, we move ours twice, and we'll move them about 8:30 in the morning, and we'll move them again around 3:30 or 4, somewhere in there. In the drought, when it's really, or excessive heat, when it's really, really, really hot, sometimes the cattle will graze at night. Did y'all realize that if a cow's guts can't cool down, if you get in a really stressful time, and let's say it's hitting 108 every day, and at night it's still 90, those cows can develop what we call heat stress. They will not cycle. It's because they can't. Their guts can't cool down. And that's when they get where they only graze at night. So in that period of time, we might go out at 7 o'clock at night when it's cooler, and that's when we'll move them. Boy, I mean, they're out there grazing because it's comfortable. Is shade an issue? Shade's an issue, I think, especially with black-hided animals. Red, white, brownish, not as much, but black-hided animals suffer. I custom grazed, Jan and I did, for 7 years, and we actually had a few cows abort on hot days where they couldn't get shade. Black ones. Yeah. The calf just came out. They got so dang hot they just slipped the calf. I felt terrible. I've never seen a red cow do that, but I've seen the black ones do it. So, I've got the spade. We're all right here. I'm just going to dig down. I just kind of want to see what we're dealing with here. Somebody else do that. I'm making a lot of noise. You're a big stout. Can you get it down? Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. One more time. There you go. Now pop. Okay. Did you realize about 80% of the soil left? There's a worm. Around 80% of your soil life is right here. So I want to sniff it.
Turn it around, Greg, for everybody to see.
What kind of soil is this, Sam? Do you know?
You don't smell that minerally smell.
It's a clay base. It's has a lot more clay than what I thought it was when I came here. I haven't looked at the soil classification to see what type it is, but we're river bottom land. The river's right there.
It doesn't smell good.
Veggie-like?
Yeah, I don't like the smell of it at all. It doesn't have that.
Minerally?
Well, it should almost make you high when you smell it.
Parts of it. You can see where it died.
Yeah, it doesn't have
Some
that.
part of this didn't get underwater this last week.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. It does make you high. It's got pheromones in it. I don't want to smell it.
The root structure on the plants is not too bad. It just doesn't have that deep earthly smell to it. It doesn't surprise me because if she was telling me about the background of this farm, it was overgrazed, and then to add insult to injury, they hate it. They put a lot of hay on it. But folks, you know what? They can fix this. And they can fix it with those guys right out there. So as bad as it is, oh God, it smells awful. It's got an awful smell. Smell it. Smell it. It just doesn't have a good earthly smell to it. But it does have pretty good root structure. Beneficial plants will come in and they'll kick this guy away. And they'll take over that area. So don't be screaming if you got some weeds out. It's better to have weeds than bare soil. Mother Nature, it's a Band-Aid. That's what it is. This is a good one right here. I can't believe the cows haven't ate it. Jan, help me out.
It's oxaliation. It's in the daisy family.
Oh, but there's a name for it.
Well, anyway.
Anyway, cows love it. What was really cool about this one was the cows came in and grazed this. We had a full stand of it. They ate it all, and underneath it was fescue. They wouldn't touch the fescue underneath it. they grazed this off. We had them in real tight strips. What was cool was, once they grazed this off, we noticed the cows were going back 3 hours later and then grazing the fescue.
So the light got to it?
The light got to it. And you're sharp, Sherry. No, seriously, we measured the bricks before and after. The bricks was at 3 underneath it. Once the cows removed all this, we came back, the bricks had moved up to 8.
Oh, that's why
That's
it's
interesting.
Nobody told those cows it went to 8. They went back and got it.
They sniffed it out.
They sniffed it out.
They're so stupid.
They're so smart. Yeah,
I'm
everybody
making
says
fun
it.
of my parents. Like, oh, cows are stupid.
Yeah, no, they're not. Isn't that cool? Removed the sunblock from it, exposed the fescue, and boom, became instantly good feed.
So is that fescue, that white road?
Yeah,
Yes.
what is all that?
This is fescue.
Yeah.
Is that quail?
I'm looking for signs of soil life. I found one. There's a spider here. He's a dead spider. On really good soil, folks, you should be able to go into an area like this, pull it back, and all you see is earthworm castings. The whole ground should be covered with earthworm castings. And you will see that if you start feeding your soil. So this is litter right here. Okay. Now Ian goes as far as saying you can build your litter bank. You can get the animals to trample it on the ground. And in extreme instances, you can use this as a food resource. In other words, you can let your cows eat the litter bank. Now when you do that, you've elected not to feed hay. The cows are going to remove this from your land, and that might get you through a tough period in your life, but you've got to put that litter bank back. The very first time you get rain and everything comes back good, get this put back on the ground. Cows will eat that. They'll eat that, and they'll do about as good on that as they will hay. Okay? But when you take your litter bank off, just realize you've exposed all your sun light to the soil surface. Your ground's going to crack open, and you're going to kill a lot of your soil life. But that might be better than having to sell all your cows. And there's no hay available. You can't buy it. I'm just saying, if you get in that situation, you can eat this. And they'll do pretty good on it.
Does that go for the winter time as well?
Absolutely. Yep. There's pretty good litter. I mean, look at that. There's pretty good litter on there. But you leave the cows in here.
What percentage of weight would you let your heifers lose during the cold season without freaking out or supplementing? Is there a percentage, you know?
What percentage of weight would I let them lose?
Yeah. Without supplementing or going into freak mode.
I wouldn't want them to go below a body condition score of 4. They go below 4, you're starting to count the rib bones, the vertebrae. That's not good.
Poking out.
Yeah, you don't want that. I hate bones sticking out on my cattle. It makes me look like a terrible livestock producer. So don't get numb to seeing skinny cattle. It's not normal. You're going to end up with about probably 30 to 40% open cows that don't breed back.
That's a waste. That's a loss.
It's a loss. It's a huge loss. You're not going to make that up. Folks, you all realize that if you buy a bred cow in the spring for, let's say, well, today's prices, let's say $2,500, and you run her through the summer, you're not watching animal performance very well, and she just kind of grazes what's out there, and you bring a vet in September and preg check her. She's open. She had a calf for you because you bought her as a bred cow. Let's say the calf's up to 350, 400 pounds, and she's open. Winter's staring you in the face. What do you got?
Sell.
You got about a $800 to $900 cow. That's what you got. So you're bringing an open cow back to the market because you don't want to winter an open cow. She's not going to give you a calf. So you gave $2,500. You lost. She brought $900. You lost $1,600. That's not the way to stay on the farm. Worse than that, she ate all your grass. She did. She didn't get bred. And another cow that could have got bred could have ate your grass. So this thing about, just giving the. I used to do it. I didn't know any better. We called it. You heard me call it the Columbus method. You turn your cows out in the spring. You go discover them in the fall. Yep.
Lewis and Clark.
That's what everybody does. They're cows. You don't need to do any more than that. So there's really good folks. I'm going to share something with y'all. There's a really, really good living in beef cattle. I mean, excellent living. Good enough that if you can get your hands on enough land to run 50 to 70 really high quality cows, you can quit that farm job if you're not holding $300,000 or $400,000 house debt, or if you're not terribly in debt. That's the one thing I made sure that I didn't have when I quit my job. I had no debt. And I see people today getting started. They buy the best four-wheeler, the best pickup truck, the best tractor. And I'm like, and then they expect the calf crop to pay for that. That's not going to work. You got to do it reverse. You got to be willing to do without.
How many total acreage would you have if you turned out 50? Would you say 50 to 70 head?
Yeah, if you had 70
How
head.
much total acreage would you be looking at in the South?
Well, it depends on the rainfall.
Moderate.
Normally we get good rainfall.
Okay,
Moderate.
so
Not
do
West
get droughts,
Texas.
well, you all answer that. Heck, I'm not down here. How
Where
many,
y'all
Yeah, that's
located?
what I want to know.
Where are you?
how many acres does it take to run a cow for a year?
I count 2.
2 per
Boy, you're
acre?
pretty hot. But of course, you got a longer growing season than I do.
2 per
I'm
acre.
at
That's really good.
I'm at
Well,
3.
no.
2 acres.
He's at
Oh,
3.
2 acre per cow, not 2 head per acre.
Yeah.
So you're just talking
So the
140,
old
150 acres.
way was
What's
2
that?
cow per acre.
So you're just talking 140, 150 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that varies per acre. Or
It
per-
does,
per
and it
pasture.
varies per year.
Yeah.
Now, when you all say you're in a 48 to 52 inch rainfall, in 2012 you weren't.
Right. That's right.
And we weren't either. We only got 17. We didn't get 17. I think we got 15 inches right here. That was it. So, what's normal? What's average? Folks, it's getting more extreme. So here's what I'm going to tell you, and I want you all to go home with this. It's probably the most important thing I'm going to say today. Everybody listening?
Say it.
Okay.
Ready to go.
Carbon, carbon, carbon. Trample, trample, trample. And I talked to some really smart people around the world, Ian included. I put Ian up at the very top. And he's like, Greg, we can't get enough carbon on the land. And until you start trampling this carbon on the land, you're not going to be able to grow a ton of grass or run a lot of cattle. It's carbon. I talked to Dr. Wendy Tahara. She's the leading mycorrhizal fungi biologist in the world, one of them. And I said, Wendy, how can I attract more mycorrhizal fungi onto my farm? You know what her reply was?
Carbon.
Carbon.
I love carbon.
Yes, carbon. Get it trampled on the ground. So don't be afraid to let the cattle trample it on the ground, because you're gonna have a good life ahead of you. Your cattle are gonna have a good life ahead of you. Okay.
If you had this pasture here, would you set up permanent hot wire paddocks or just go in
Oh
and use
no,
paddock?
no, 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 no.
You're away from that, right?
I wouldn't put in a hot wire paddock on here. I mean, I'd have my feeder wire. Like you probably got that already in here, don't you, Fred?
We don't have it now, but we have.
got one
had it
across the
divided
back.
up. Yeah, there's hot. We divide this up with poly wire.
Yeah. Folks, 20 to 40 acre paddocks work really well with polywire. You start breaking them down into 5 acre paddocks permanent, it will kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do that. We've rolled up over probably close to 50,000 feet of wire in the last 7 years. This is high tensile. We took the paddocks out. And these are paddocks, when I first started, I didn't have any money. And I went to the NRCS and they said, Greg, you know, if you'll keep this program in for 10 years, we'll pay for 75% of it. I'm like, really? And they also said, if you do most of the work, you can come out on this pretty good. How many of y'all have done that? You come out pretty good. So I went and rented a trencher for a week. I went and bought me some fiberglass posts and some wire, and I did all the work. And I kept it in for 10 years. And I ripped them out. The wire around the perimeter is still there. My waters are still there, as far as my snap couplers and things, and my hydrants, but I took all the interior wires out. And here's why. In the springtime, when the grasses are growing fast, you need to move your cattle fast. And if you've got a paddock this size, if you split this up into, let's say, 8 5-acre paddocks, I don't know how many's in this bottom, Fred. How many's in?
There's about 25 acres
Okay.
in this area.
So there's 5. There's 5 5-acre paddocks. What have you got when you got 5 5-acre paddocks?
2.5 days.
No, come on.
25 acres.
I call for that one.
If you got hot water paddocks, you got 5 problems.
5 days.
Am I right?
Yeah, 5 problems. What else? 5 days. What else? Come on, you're almost there. Huh?
Not enough recovery.
Not enough recovery. You got 5 gates.
Oh, yeah.
5 muddy gates.
5 muddy gates. They tear the bejeebers out of your farm everywhere you have a gate.
Oh, because they stand there.
They got to
all the
walk
time?
through it to get to the next paddock. You got 300 head going through a 20-foot gate. They're going to destroy it. And here's another thing with permanent paddocks. You develop cattle trails. Permanent cattle trails. They're there, and they almost grow back, and by God, you're back on them again. And those cows see that trail, and there they go.
Yep.
And going down a hill, by God, you've got a gully. You've got a ravine on a big ravine.
So you always put the poly braid up in a different place, sort
Oh,
of?
absolutely,
Okay.
every time. And so in the springtime, on this paddock, when the grasses are going fast, if they had all this land accessible to them and the size cattle they've got, they would need to get around here in 30 days. Well, they can't do it if they got 5-acre paddocks. You just can't do it. But now with polywire, heck, you can come in here and split this in 2. Boom, boom. Go up on the hill, boom, boom. You can go around here easily in 30 days. But they need water. They've got to get water on that, and they're working on that. They're working on that. That's the one thing that's really holding them up. I would get some water centrally located. Don't get stupid and put it every 100 feet. Every 400 feet's probably close enough for cattle. With sheep, you might want to go a little closer. But use the quick couplers. Don't use hydrants. The quick coupler is called Plasson, P-L-A-S-S-O-N. Plasson quick couplers. You can get them through Powerflex Fence. And they're $14.95. They screw right on into a T. It's a male thread into a female. By God, you got water.
We have one up here at the gate when we walk out. We'll
Okay,
we
you
have
can show it to them. Cool.
We'll have a quick connect there at the gate.
Okay.
What's it called? A what?
Plasson quick coupler. P-L-A-S-S-O-N. Plasson quick coupler. It works like an air hose. When you plug in, by God, you got water. When you unplug it, there is no water.
Wow.
The beautiful thing about a quick coupler is you put them down on the ground permanent. I do. And I get a piece of a 6-inch STR. Y'all familiar with STR? It's a sewer pipe. It's 6-inch. Don't go with 4-inch, because you get a guy like this, he's not going to be able to get his arm down in a 4-inch pipe. You can get your arm down in a 6-inch. Here in Arkansas, you don't need to bury it very deep. Just enough where the cows won't break it off and it won't freeze. Put a cap on it. So when you get done with it, always put the cap back on the top of the STR. If you don't, you'll come back to the dark and there'll be a possum in there. And the worst part is when they're dead. You gotta pull that nasty thing out of there.
And you cut that flush with the ground?
No, I leave it up about that far. And I drive a white stake by it, because you will mow it off.
Yeah.
You'll hit it with your four-wheeler.
Yeah.
Put a good white stake. Don't use black or white.
So on your place, I mean, that might just be that might just be out in the middle.
Absolutely.
Any old place. It's not going to be in a fence row necessarily, because you're going to run your
But
poly.
you probably
too.
pay attention
Yes.
to it when you run your poly,
Oh yeah.
just
Yes.
on one side or just on the other, to make sure
Absolutely.
it's on the cow side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I use a, folks, when you're using these snap couplers, go buy a really good rubber hose at Lowe's, Home Menards, wherever. They sell them in 50 and 100-foot lengths. I would probably go with a 100-footer, 5/8 inch. Not latex, not acrylic, rubber. That hose is going to cost you about $60, 40 to 60. Protect it. When you snap that dude in and you run it out into your paddock, I wish we had some poly and stuff here. You stick that, you plug in your poly, your quick coupler. Your livestock tank is run out into the middle of the field with that 100-foot hose. Over the top of that hose, you put about 3 or 4 step-in posts with a piece of poly braid on it that's electrified to keep the cows from walking on your hose. They will destroy a hose in one grazing season just by walking on it. get $60 for it. Folks, we've got hoses that are 15 years old. They look like they're brand new.
Plus they'll tear them out.
They'll tear them out too. They like chewing on them when it's hot. They'll grab that home just like a sandwich, and by God, you got a leak.
Yeah.
So you put the wire down close by it?
Yep, put the wire right over the top of it. They ain't messing with it. That wire's got 8,000 volts and there's grass out here.
So they go around it.
Yes. And I run my poly wire. This is my tank. I drive a post on this side. I run my poly wire right across the center of the tank. Because if you don't, you'll find a cow standing in it. You will. On a hot day, there'll be a cow with her front feet in that tank. And she steps on your valve. Breaks it off. Now you got a huge water bill.
Yeah.
If you're on
Oh,
real
yeah.
water.
Hey, Greg.
Is your tank on a trailer?
No, no, it's just we dump it.
Okay.
It's 50 gallon. A 50-gallon tank will water 300 head if you have high pressure. We're talking 60 gallons a minute. Yeah.
Greg, you've addressed it spring, you move across this land really fast. Now we're getting it this time of the year.
Great point. So now we're into June, July.
In 5 minutes.
We're into June, July, and we want to slow down. Well, we don't have all these permanent paddocks in here, so now we can tighten them up, and we can make the paddock exactly the size we need it, because we don't have all this crap out here. Folks, get away from having temporary all this permanent paddock stuff. Go to temporary paddocks. You can run, and don't get married into laying it the same direction every time. So if I came into this paddock one time, I'd run my wire straight down the middle, and then I'd go like this off the side. The next time I came into it, my first wire would be across like that, and I'd run them like this, and then on the other side I'd run them the same direction the other way. Mix it up. Cattle get grazing lines. They get used to grazing in a certain direction, and they'll all go the same way every time they come into that paddock. Mix it up. You're spreading the manure and the urine. That's why I like a 100-foot hose. I'm getting my water way out there away from the fence. You don't want to put that tank right next to your wire. That's where all the manure's at. Move it around. Wherever you, just remember this. Water and mineral are what? What are they?
Essential.
Essentials. What else?
Magnets.
Magnets. They're drawing manure and urine to it. So your mineral should be on that end of the paddock. Your water should be the furthest point away from the mineral. How many farms do you go on, you see both of them right there?
Most.
Yeah, it's handy. Just drop it off. They're killing themselves. They could have put all that fertility out there, regrow more grass.